Let me take you back to a moment that still feels vivid. It was late 2020, and I was hunched over my laptop, scouring the internet for details about Sony's latest release, the A7S III. I'd been shooting with its predecessor, the A7S II, for years, and while it was a workhorse, I could feel its limitations creeping in, especially when I was filming in low light or trying to nail fast-moving subjects. The buzz around the A7S III was electric. Creators like Max Yuriev and Mariha Poya were breaking down its specs in their videos that had me glued to the screen. Fast forward to 2025, and I've had this camera in my hands for a while now. It's been through music videos, documentaries, and even a few personal projects that I shot just for the love of it. So, does the Sony A7S III still hold up in a world where 8K is becoming the norm and newer cameras are hitting the market? Let's dive in. No fluff, just the real stuff. Pros, cons, and everything in between. First, let's talk about what makes the A7S III special, starting with its core. A 12.1 megapixel full-frame, back-illuminated Exmor-R CMOS sensor, paired with the Bionz XR processor. This isn't a high-resolution beast like the A7R IV, and that's by design. Sony built this camera for video-first creators who prioritize low-light performance and dynamic range over pixel count. The sensor's larger pixels drink in light, making it a dream for shooting in dimly lit environments. I've actually filmed in low-light conditions, did it for a purpose, of course, and the A7S III delivered clean, detailed footage at high ISO settings. The dynamic range, clocking in at around 15 stops, gives you room to recover shadows or highlights in post without the image falling apart. Summary: this camera's low-light prowess was a game-changer back then, and I assure you that it's still unmatched for night shoots or moody cinematic scenes in 2025. Now, the video capabilities are where the A7S III flexes its muscles. It records 4K at up to 100 frames per second in 10-bit 422 internally, which means you get buttery smooth slow motion and color grading flexibility that holds up even in professional workflows. The ability to output 16-bit RAW via HDMI to an external recorder is a nod to high-end filmmakers, though most of us won't need that unless we're working on big-budget projects. Whether I'm vlogging or setting up a complex shot, this fully articulating touchscreen makes framing effortless. The camera also supports S-Log3 and HLG profiles, which basically means that I can capture footage with a flat look for grading or punchy HDR straight out of the camera. In 2025, 4K is still the standard for most platforms, so the A7S III's video specs aren't outdated. They're right where they need to be for creators who want quality without drowning in massive file sizes. Autofocus is another area where this camera shines. With 759 phase detection points covering 92% of the frame, it locks onto subjects with uncanny precision. The real-time eye autofocus for humans and animals is still great. The autofocus feels almost telepathic, and after using it for years, I agree, it rarely hunts. Compared to newer cameras like the Sony A1 or Canon R5 II, the A7S III's autofocus is still competitive, though it lacks the AI-driven subject recognition some 2025 models offer. For most shoots, though, you won't notice the difference unless you're tracking erratic subjects like birds in flight. Now, the build and ergonomics are a step up from older Sony cameras. At less than 2 pounds, this camera feels criminally lightweight but absolutely solid, with weather sealing that's held up during all the rainy outdoor shoots. The redesigned menu system, I would say, is a huge win, since it's so intuitive and touch-friendly, a far cry from the clunky menus of the A7S II. Dual card slots supporting both SD UHS 2 and CF Express Type A still give me a lot of flexibility, though I kind of agree that CF Express cards are pricey, and most users will really stick to SD cards unless they're shooting high bitrate 4K. The 5-axis in-body image stabilization offers up to 5.5 stops, which is decent for handheld shooting, but not class-leading. I've gotten smooth footage walking with the camera, but for run-and-gun scenarios, a gimbal is still your friend. Now, let's get to the cons, because no camera is perfect. The 12.1 megapixel sensor is a double-edged sword. For video, it's fantastic, but for stills, it's limiting. If you're a hybrid shooter who needs to pull high-resolution images for prints or heavy cropping, the A7S III isn't your best bet. I've taken decent photos with it, sharp, with great dynamic range, but anything over an 8:10 print starts to show the resolution constraints. In 2025, when cameras like the Nikon Z8 offer 45 megapixels without sacrificing video quality, the A7S III feels niche for video-first creators. Another slight drawback is the lack of 6K or 8K recording. While 4K is still king for most deliverables, clients are starting to ask for 8K, especially in commercial work. Sure, the A7S III's 4K is stunning, but its inability to oversample from a higher resolution means it's not future-proofed for every use case. If you're shooting for YouTube or indie films, this won't matter. But if you're in a competitive market, you might feel the pinch. The price is another sticking point. At around $3,800, it's not cheap, and in 2025, you can find used or discounted A7 IVs with higher resolution for less. It's premium over the A7S II, sure, and while the upgrades justify it for video pros, camera enthusiasts might hesitate. The battery life, while improved with the NPFZ100, isn't exceptional. I get about 600 shots or 90 minutes of 4K recording per charge, which is fine, but lags behind newer cameras with better power efficiency. Lastly, the lack of a second control dial can feel restrictive when shooting stills manually. It's a small thing, but it disrupts the flow if you're used to dual dials on other bodies. So, does it hold up in 2025? Well, it's still a powerhouse, to be honest. I've shot everything from gritty street documentaries to polished music videos with it, and it's never let me down. The footage looks cinematic, the colors pop after grading, and the ergonomics make long shoots comfortable. But I will say this again, it's not for everyone. If you're a photographer first or need 8K for future proofing, look elsewhere. The A7S III is a specialist tool, built for those who live and breathe video and don't mind its stills limitations. And reflecting on my time with it, I think it's time to show you what I have captured with this beast. So yeah, that's the A7S III's magic. It's not the newest kid on the block, but for the right creator, it's still one of the best. This one's still got a place in my kit, and I think it will for years to come. Alright, that's my take on the Sony A7S III in 2025. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you used it? Are you eyeing it for your next project, or is there another camera stealing your attention? Drop a comment below, and let's keep the conversation going. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and tap the bell so you don't miss my next review. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.